Transformers Hall of Fame 2018 is coming up. About a week ago, Hasbro and the Transformers Facebook page talked about doing a round one voting for the Transformers Hall of Fame. That was about a week ago. They sent it to big Transformer websites and groups such as TFW 2005, Sabertron, T-Formers, Allspark, and so on. And essentially, people just, how the voting for round one went was you just had to say in the message board who you wanted to vote for. And the two categories this year for the Hall of Fame essentially are favorite Transformer character and 2018 Transformers Hasbro Toy of the Year. I like how they say Hasbro, I guess, because they really don't want people saying third party.
That's true. That's
you know, it's kind of interesting that they actually went about saying that. But so what's interesting, though, is the absence of some of the other kind of things, because they used to do every year they would induct a human person. Part of the reason why I think they didn't induct anyone from a human, like from a real life person kind of thing, is because there's no official convention this year. Like 2017, they continued the Hall of Fame in the absence of a BotCon, and they just did it at HasCon.
right.
Where they inducted Sue Blue and Lorenzo de Bavranchera, the guy who did all the movie stuff essentially, who was behind the scenes. So, and I mean the last BotCon that we did was David Cage, Judd Nelson, Weird Al, who was added even though he wasn't present. But
Wah.
yeah, I know it would have been great
But
to
I mean,
have him there.
that would have been a very, very crazy
I know,
performance.
yeah. Imagine having. Oh, that's true, eh?
That
Imagine
would've
if
been
we
an
had him
insane
too
performance.
at the Kentucky.
Yep.
At the Kentucky. Oh my God, that would have been amazing. Anyways, point is that so I think that's the primary reason why we do have an absence of a human category, but instead they're filling that in with a Toy of the Year category. So we went into round two. And now they tabulated like all the different individual votes of who they, and so they came down to essentially what is the final 7 characters to vote for. And so they came to Beast Wars Black Arachnia, G1 Blaster, G1 Cyclonus, probably also influenced by the IDW Cyclonus, who was also very popular, which is still G1 in a sense. Scourge, but specifically the Robots in Disguise one, aka Black Convoy. Yeah. Skybite, again, Robots in Disguise, aka Gel Shark. G1 Springer, which again might also be influenced by the IDW books, so Last Stand of the Wreckers. And Unicron.
This is a very good list.
Also, I guess I might as well, just for the listeners, here's the following people that have been already inducted and thus cannot be voted for or inducted again. So in 2010, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Megatron, Starscream, and Beast Wars Dinobot. 2011, we had G1 Ironhide, G1 Ratchet, G1 Soundwave, and Beast Wars Waspinator. In 2012, we had G1 Grimlock, G1 Jazz, G1 Shockwave, and G1 Wheeljack, although a lot of times when they did those video packages, they would include all the versions of Wheeljack or all the versions of Shockwave. 2013 was Beast Wars Megatron and Ultra Magnus. 2014 was RC and Rodimus. 2015 was Prowl and Predaking. 2016 was Optimus Primal and Cosmos. And 2017 was Galvatron, Barricade, and I'm going to assume the movie Barricade, not G1 Barricade.
Yeah,
and Triptychon. So all of those just listed couldn't have been voted for, so this is a new, fresh list. I didn't actually participate in round one. I kind of was like really busy that week and didn't throw. I think that though, if I would have thrown a name in for round one of what is absent, it probably would have been like, I wasn't going to like vote for like my like second favorite Transformer character of all time. I'd go for something more logical, like who should be, because I'm not going to go, oh, Nitro Convoy should be in the Hall of Fame. It's like, no. I think I would have went with, I don't know. I think I'm leaning more towards something like maybe, I don't know. Devastator wasn't added, I think, yet. Yeah, I think Devastator's still missing. Because they've inducted Predaking up to this point.
Yeah, that's true.
So that means that a whole combined... And I think, up to this point, the fact that Devastator is absent is a travesty. And Devastator's not my favorite combiner. It's not even my favorite Decepticon combiner. But I think that in the importance of Transformers, and even from a casual level, he's part of that. Like I always call it, like the important seven.
Yeah,
which is like
that's the one that everyone knows.
That's the one everybody knows.
What about that one that combined?
Yeah,
the bigger one.
It was like he was green or yellow, and it was like the construction guys, and they combined, and he made the big robot.
That's how that comes up.
Yeah,
it's like Devastator. Yeah.
And it's I think Devastator would have gotten my individual vote, and it's kind of sad that he's absent from these individual votes here. But I think I think he would have been the one that I would have done, because he's the big tier guy that's still missing after all these years, and it doesn't make any sense.
Like, what about you? Looking at this list, the favorite Black Arachnia, Blaster, out of those people, I'm really surprised by this list, and I really like almost all those characters on that list.
Oh, they're all great characters, I kind of understand why some of them are there. I like the
decisions that are there, and I'm just like, oh man, who would I pick? I like them all. Like Unicron, I could move off the list.
Unicron could get in any day of the year.
That's a tough list.
To me, if I had of that list, if I had to pick of Black Arachnia, Blaster, Cyclonus, Scourge, RID, Skybite, RID, Springer, or Unicron, I'd vote only Unicron if, there's somehow, by some fluke, he never ends up on the list ever again, which would be a shame. But otherwise, I think Blaster gets my vote. I've always had a soft spot for Blaster. He was my first Transformer. Kind of not important in the grand scheme of Transformers. I think that of this list of, let's say, Cyclonus in Generation 1 wasn't super important, but in the IDW comics, that's where I see people coming from with that. Scourge and Skybite, they were the stars of their own series, so they were very important. Again, Springer, not really so much important in G1, but again, those IDW comics kind of really made people love that Springer.
Yeah.
Unicron is Unicron. That's one that, again, it's like on a technicality, like I feel Black Arachnia and Unicron are the two heavier ones.
Yeah, those are the ones, and it shows through the voting as well.
Yeah, like currently in the voting right now, Black Arachnia is leading, at least for TFW 2005's current voting. Black Arachnia is leading, with Unicron being quite a distant second place. And those are the two that I feel would be the most logical votes. But I personally would vote Blaster just from a personal standpoint, because he's always been a personal favorite of mine. Always probably in, like, I'd have to say, my top 10 favorite Transformers of all time. And again, it's totally circumstantial because of an accident, because he ended up being my first Transformer growing up.
Your first base former.
Yeah, my first not base former.
I would definitely say I would agree with Black Arachnia on this list, and being that high up. She's definitely a character with layers, a character that's always thinking, a character that's playful, that's flirty. She uses all of everything to her advantage, basically, and and she knows, like, well, if Megatron succeeds, then I died, and I'm not going out like that.
And she's also
and then going on into the second, not second series, but Beast Machines. She's conflicted. She's brooding. She's trying to figure out what's going on, what happened with Silverbolt, and all that kind of stuff. And like, I guess because of how interesting and strong and duplicitous she was in Beast Wars, like, I guess a lot of us felt that she was more of a weaker character because she was super vulnerable.
A lot of people felt that way, yeah.
But it's just the fact that character was so vulnerable in that when she made it to Cybertron, she was that vulnerable. And I think, like, to some of us, it just feels like, oh, she's too weak. But I think I guess in a writing standpoint, it makes her have to fight more to climb out of that funk more.
A lot of people felt
you finally get back home, and home isn't what you expect it to be, and the people that you love that are supposed to be there by your side aren't. There's all this stuff. Like, I feel like
there was a lot going on with her, and she was also
wanted to, like, kind of tie it in with all the other female characters in the American fiction, where we kind of get a feel of that RC and Prime, where she's like the brooding, she was part of a cop, like she had a partner, and the partner dies, and she's kind of really reserved and not trustworthy of everybody, and like I feel like that kind of how Black Arachnia started off in Beast Machines kind of influenced. But
in Beast Machines, specifically Beast Machines, Black Arachnia.
Beast Machines, kind of like maybe lightly influenced RC from when the last time we saw her in animated and the G1 movie, where they kind of change her more and make her more broody in that case.
Well, I think the reality is actually, and it's funny that you bring that up, is and it's more so because you haven't really read the material completely, but the evolution of RC and Black Arachnia are kind of tied together, and even that again, that broodiness, because in BotCon 2001, my first BotCon, they had the BotCon exclusive RC that was from the Black Arachnia mold.
Okay.
And in that story, Daniel died in the comic that came with it.
Oh, is that the one where they go to Cybertron, I think?
It's the one where Daniel's an adult and he gets killed by well, he sacrificed himself to kill all those Nightbirds, and RC goes into like a depression, and then years later gets that new body where now she's the Spider Lady. She's the Transmetal 2 Black Arachnia.
Right.
So there's that connection too, where a lot of times that brooding RC character and the brooding female character, I almost feel like it was birthed out of that old 3H Enterprise pre-Funpub BotCon comic book. But
right.
That's just we're going off on a tangent, but that's
kind of where
that came
like,
from.
In my mind, I kind of feel like, oh, this is where we can go with female Transformers. Okay, sure. Like,
well, and especially I feel with Black Arachnia, like in terms of like even everyone on this list, like she's someone that I felt was like, she had 3 seasons of Beast Wars of character development, and then 2 seasons of Beast Machines, and then when you're talking even other versions of her, like she had an interesting developmental arc even from the animated side of things, where she's this character of Elita 1, but not the Elita 1 that we know from G1. She becomes a Black Arachnia character, and then when we even look at Prime, where we have a character like Arachnid that isn't Black Arachnia, but you clearly see there's some aspects of that character put in there. Obviously, Arachnid being a name that was taken from another Beast Wars toy that was totally unrelated. It was actually a playset, but the Black Arachnia concept still being there. And so like even Black Arachnia as an importance over a long span of time in Transformers mythos. I love Blaster, but his footprint on Transformers has really been, a little bit of the G1 comics when Bob Bugansky was able to write him against Straxus, a little bit of, the Generation 1 cartoon when he was able to pop in here and there every time, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but never really got a lot. And same thing, Cyclonus, it's like, second in command kind of, season 3, 86 movie kind of thing. And then if you want to go on name value, then okay, there was a quote Cyclonus in Armada that, wasn't even really Cyclonus, but it was actually called Sandstorm in Micron. And every character, when you kind of look at a lot of the others, with the exception of Unicron, really has a very smaller role in the grand scheme of lore of Transformers, with the exception of Black Arachnia. And again, her leading the charge is not only just a credit to Beast Wars and everything of how great it is, or that individual character, but she's the one who's made probably the biggest impact outside of Unicron in this list, on a grand scale of things. There's a lot going on here. I'm kind of curious what some of the other websites must have for votings, but I'm pretty sure, I'm going to just take a guess. Like, Black Arachnia is probably going to win this. I found usually a lot of times when the fan vote came down to a Beast Wars character, they usually won by quite a large margin. That's why, like, when you even look at the very first year of
Dinobot's in there.
Yeah, Dinobot was there because it's just like, well, we're going to do a fan vote.
2011, Waspinator.
Yeah, well, that's just it. The fan vote, which is always the one that was kind of up to the fans a lot of the times, usually a Beast Wars character got in there because the G1 fans would kind of be divided among their G1 choices, but the Beast Wars fans would always rally behind somebody. 2012,
there's none. But then 2013, Megatron, Beast Wars.
Yeah. 2012 also I felt was influenced by Transformers Prime. Sometimes you also have to look at the year. Like
Yeah.
like that Wheeljack winning also probably had a lot to do with,
Yeah,
with
for sure.
his depiction in Transformers Prime. It's the same thing. Cyclonus being on this list here is and Springer is, again, both enjoyable characters in their original forms, but I feel that IDW really is what brought out those characters and made a coming out for them in a lot of ways. Where Black Arachnia, we're basing this on a Beast Wars interpretation and not, say, animated. Same thing, that's Cyclonus there. We're not talking Armada. We're talking the, probably more so the IDW one. And then, of course, and the other one I don't want to talk too much on because it's something that we already do on the podcast and we're going to save for the end of the year anyways. But they also did a 2018 Toy of the Year vote. Now, we're not going to say ours, because we're going to save that for the end of the year where we do it with all the fans and stuff like we did. Be sure to check in our archives. We did a live, talk about all the best of 2017. That's a really cool episode that me and Jaws D recorded.
Yeah.
But
Very
we'll at least go through what fans have voted here. So we had Power of the Primes, Battle Trap, Power of the Primes, Optimus Prime, the leader class, Power of the Primes, Rodimus Unicronus, Studio Series Blackout, Studio Series Grimlock, and Studio Series Starscream. The one that's leading the charge here, oddly enough, a weird one, is the Battle Trap one. Now,
I don't think that one is too weird. I think, I don't know.
It's a good toy. I don't know about Toy of the Year, though.
It seems weird because it's it's just like two scouts and you put them together. But I think it's cool because I think it's up there because it's very innovative. It's very different.
I think that
everything else, it's not another. It's like compared to everything else on this list, Optimus Prime, dime a dozen, Rodimus. He's had quite a bit of toys right now.
I do agree there.
Blackout, movie toy, Grimlock, movie toy, Starscream, movie. We've had a bunch of Starscreams. So I think like this one is the most original one, and everyone's really, really feeling it. I think the second one on this list right now is Blackout. And then after that is Optimus Prime.
Yeah. I'm surprised, like, in all honesty, of this list, I would have expected, again, it wouldn't have been my vote, but I would have expected Optimus Prime to be the one leading the charge here. I'm surprised how, he's literally losing 2-1 here, if not more, to this Battle Trap. So it's kind of interesting, the voting here. But ultimately in the end, my own personal list, which is going to be the top 5 when we do it in December of 2018, is probably not going to have any of these guys, maybe. I'm not too sure about that Rodimus Unicronus even, because I know there's a lot of good stuff this year. This is a very good year for toys. So there's, especially from a Masterpiece standpoint, there's a Dinobot coming, so
there's a Dinobot, there's a Megatron.
For people to say favorite toy of 2018 Hasbro, they say that probably so you can't count Takara. You can't count Masterpiece, because it's like, I don't know how, like, in a year where we're going to have Dinobot, and, imagine if Megatron comes out before the year's up, too, like that.
Well, I feel that's kind of fair. It's like, oh, we're going to show off what people... Takara at HasCon. What?
No, they never,
have to narrow it down.
They never show off the Japanese stuff. So
no, I'm saying, like, if you have, like, a fan vote and fans can write anything they want, I'm pretty sure...
Oh, yeah.
People are going to put Takara all over it.
But yeah,
and you
so
want
there's
to definitely
that.
Like focus it.
There's that too. So
because we do that as well. We do like our third-party picks, and then we do our mainline toys, whether it is Takara or Hasbro.
Oh yeah. Well, usually what we do is we do for people who haven't seen our top 5 of 2017 video. I again heavily suggest you go watch it. It's a really good watch. Really fun recording that one. Usually, what we do is we do official and unofficial. Like we just bunch it all together, and it's just like there's a lot of real, like, again, I don't want to spoil because 2018 is far from over, so there's still plenty of toys for me to get in my hands. But it's been a really good year thus far. It's been a good 6 months, let's put it this way, and a lot of really good stuff that I already have a pretty good idea of some of the stuff that is going to place for sure. But yeah, it's going to be a really good year. That's why I don't want to talk too much about what our actual votes are going to be. But definitely in the comments, I want to know who you would have voted for favorite character outside of the bracket. Like, who would have you voted for if you had any choice? Who you want to vote for that's in the bracket here of the choices thus far. And same thing, if you want to say your toy of the year, that's fine. But if you follow the Facebook group, which I suggest check in our description, join the Facebook group. We will be asking in December near the end of the year to chime in who is going to be your top toy of 2018. Just keep an eye out for when that comes around in December 2018, and get your votes in, because then we'll mention you on the show and everything. It's going to be a big old splash. Again, check out the 2017 version. It'll give you an idea of what to expect.